Imagine you're a farmer or a hunter and you wake up to find your crops ravaged by wild animals. A common problem, isn't it? Life in the countryside or even in the city isn't as serene as it seems when wild animals decide to pay a visit. It's a predicament faced by many, from the hardworking farmer whose livelihood depends on their yield to the city dweller who finds an unexpected intruder in their backyard. Wild animals destroying crops and infiltrating urban areas is a widespread issue causing significant distress. The impact is felt not just economically, but also on a personal level. The fear of losing one's hard-earned produce or the anxiety of a potential encounter with a wild creature in the city is real and pressing. This issue, though often overlooked, holds immense importance and requires immediate attention. But the question remains, so, what can farmers and hunters do to tackle this issue? Let's delve into the solutions. Before we get into the solutions, it's crucial to understand the wild animals we are dealing with. Our world is teeming with a rich and diverse array of wildlife, some of which may cross paths with us in less than ideal circumstances. Let's delve into the lives of a few such species that are commonly known to cause issues for farmers, hunters, and city dwellers alike. First off, let's talk about deer. These graceful creatures, known for their prancing gait and magnificent antlers, are also notorious for their voracious appetites. They can decimate a crop field overnight, leaving nothing but barren land behind. This behavior is driven by their need to consume large quantities of vegetation to sustain their energy levels. Next up, we have wild boars. These robust and often aggressive creatures are infamous for the destruction they cause. They can tear up acres of land in search of food, leaving behind a ravaged landscape. Wild boars are omnivorous, meaning they eat both plants and small animals, making them a double threat to farmlands. Last, but not the least, we have raccoons. These nocturnal mammals with their distinctive black masks and ringed tails are known for their uncanny ability to adapt to urban environments. They rummage through trash cans, invade homes, and can cause significant damage in the process. Their increased presence in cities is primarily due to habitat loss, forcing them to venture into human territories in search of food and shelter. Understanding these animals is not about labeling them as the bad guys. Instead, it's about recognizing their natural instincts and behaviors, and the fact that they are primarily driven by basic needs like hunger and shelter. They are not malicious in their intent, but are merely trying to survive, much like us. This understanding forms the basis of any solution we discuss in dealing with these creatures. We must remember that our approach should aim at coexistence and not elimination. After all, these wild animals are a vital part of our ecosystem, contributing to the balance of nature. Now that we understand the wild animals, let's explore how farmers and hunters deal with this issue. Farmers have been battling this issue since time immemorial, and they've come up with some effective strategies. One of the simplest and most common approaches is the use of physical barriers. Fencing, for instance, can provide a strong and visible deterrent for many wild animals. While it may not be foolproof against more determined or agile creatures, it certainly makes the farmer's land a less attractive target. However, fences can be costly and require maintenance. They can also inadvertently trap animals inside, causing more harm than good. This is where another technique comes in handy: using scare devices. Scarecrows, for example, have been used for centuries to deter birds. But did you know there are other more modern and sophisticated scare devices? These include ultrasonic devices, motion-activated sprinklers, or even drones. They can be particularly effective when used in combination, and when their placement is regularly changed to prevent animals from becoming accustomed to them. Yet these methods may not always be feasible or effective for every farmer or every type of animal. This is where the strategy of crop rotation comes into play. By changing the types of crops grown in a field each year, farmers can disrupt the feeding patterns of certain animals. This can make their land less appealing to wildlife, thus reducing the likelihood of damage to their crops. But let's not forget, all these solutions come with their own set of challenges. Fencing and scare devices require investment and maintenance. Crop rotation requires careful planning and might not be possible for all types of crops. Plus, none of these methods guarantee complete protection from wild animals. Yet, despite these challenges, farmers persist. They innovate, adapt, and find ways to coexist with the wildlife around them. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about protecting crops, it's about maintaining a balance with nature. While farmers have their ways, city dwellers and hunters also have their strategies. Let's find out what they are. Hunters and city dwellers face a different set of challenges when dealing with wild animals. But they've got their strategies too. Let's kick things off with hunters. Now, hunting might seem like a straightforward solution to control the population of certain animals, but it's not as simple as it sounds. Controlled hunting, for instance, is a strategy often used to manage animal populations. This involves carefully regulated hunting seasons, limits on the number of animals that can be killed, and restrictions on the methods used to hunt. It's about balance, ensuring that animal populations are kept in check without causing unnecessary harm or disruption to the ecosystem. However, controlled hunting does have its drawbacks. It requires extensive knowledge about the animals in question, their breeding patterns, and their impact on the environment. Additionally, it also needs strict enforcement to prevent overhunting. Moving on to our city dwellers. Urban areas present a unique challenge when it comes to wild animals. Here we see the emergence of urban wildlife management programs. These programs focus on educating the public about coexisting with wildlife, implementing humane control measures, and preserving natural habitats within urban areas. For instance, some cities have adopted measures like installing animal-resistant trash cans to deter scavengers, planting native vegetation to provide natural habitats, and using humane trapping methods to relocate animals when necessary. But again, urban wildlife management is not without its challenges. It requires the cooperation of the entire community, from city officials to residents. And sometimes, despite the best efforts, conflicts between humans and wildlife can still occur. In conclusion, whether you're a hunter in the wild or a city dweller in an urban jungle, dealing with wild animals isn't a one-size-fits-all situation. It requires a strategic and balanced approach, taking into account the needs of both humans and wildlife. So, as we can see, dealing with wild animals requires a strategic and balanced approach. Dealing with wild animals is a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach. Throughout our conversation, we've explored the challenges faced by farmers, hunters, and city dwellers alike. We've delved into the world of wild animals, understanding their behaviors and patterns. We've also discussed practical solutions for farmers, such as installing fences, using scare devices, or even planting certain crops that are less appealing to these creatures. For our city dwellers and hunters, we've highlighted the importance of humane trapping and relocation, and the implementation of urban planning strategies that consider the habitats of these animals. But remember, these methods are not one-size-fits-all. Each situation requires a thoughtful approach, taking into account the specific animal species and the unique circumstances of the area. The key is balance. We must strive to protect our livelihoods in cities, whilst also respecting the natural world. Remember, it's all about coexisting with nature. So, what do you think about these strategies? Do you have any other ideas? Share your thoughts in the comments below.